Coming up on KGN Caribbean News, a shocking case of road rage in Jamaica. A nurse viciously attacked in broad daylight. What sparked the violence and what's being done to bring justice? We've got the full story. Plus, it's a new era for St. Thomas. The long-awaited Morant Bay Urban Centre is finally open. And a blackmail scandal rocks St. Kitts and Nevis. Government officials targeted with disturbing demands. What's behind the threat and how authorities are responding? Your KGN Caribbean news starts right now. Welcome to KGN Caribbean News. I'm Carisha Graham. Our top stories this week. In a disturbing incident that has shaken the community, a nurse in St. Andrew, Jamaica was violently attacked during a road rage confrontation. The 65-year-old businessman Robert Bell reportedly became involved in an aggressive altercation on the road that quickly escalated. During the incident, Bell forcibly dragged the nurse from her vehicle, knocking her to the ground before stepping on her head. The attack left the nurse with visible injuries and has sparked widespread outrage across the island. The nurse, who works at the University Hospital of the West Indies, was reportedly on her way to work when the assault took place. The violent act was captured on video and shared widely on social media, drawing national attention and condemnation. Following the attack, Bell was arrested and charged with assault. In response to the attack, the Nurses Association of Jamaica organized a protest today, bringing together healthcare workers and concerned citizens. The protest was not only in support of the assaulted nurse, but also a call for greater safety for the woman and the public at large. There's growing national discussion around whether Jamaica's sex offender registry should be made public, with safety, privacy, and human rights all a part of the conversation. Currently, Jamaica's sex offender registry is maintained by the police and is not accessible to the general public. Some advocates believe making parts of the registry public could help communities better protect children and vulnerable individuals. Others warn that releasing personal information could lead to discrimination, harassment, or even vigilante action. We'll continue to track developments on this story as lawmakers, advocates, and the public weigh in. Prime Minister Terence Drew of St. Kitts and Nevis revealed an attempted blackmail against his government. A group connected to MSR Media demanded up to $100 million to stop the release of a damaging video targeting the country's citizenship by investment program. Dr. Drew called this a serious threat and vowed to fight back legally, making it clear that no public funds will be used to pay these demands. In March of 2025, G. Kanaya Carbon, an emergency medical technician from Antigua, was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The conviction came after a trial that followed a violent attack he committed in January 2020. Carbon had lured a man under false pretenses and attempted to kill him. Fortunately, the victim survived and sought medical help. After a lengthy court process, Carbon was found guilty earlier this year and sentenced in March. These recent cases highlight important steps in the Caribbean to uphold justice and protect the community from crime and corruption. After years of waiting and multiple delays, the people of St. Thomas finally have their brand new urban center. The $6 billion Morant Bay Urban Centre officially opened last week, transforming the old courthouse site into a modern complex filled with government offices, business spaces, and even a food court. The goal? To bring jobs, services, and investment directly to the heart of the parish, something locals say has been missing for too long.
10 years later, I am able to stand here and say, St. Thomas, I did not forget you. St. Thomas, you are now at the cutting edge, the frontier of new developments in Jamaica.
The center is part of a bigger push to develop rural Jamaica and shift some of the focus away from Kingston and St. Andrews. An iconic piece of Jamaica's natural history is getting a much needed facelift. The Castleton Botanical Gardens in St. Mary is now the focus of major rehabilitation project. Once known for its rare plant species and scenic river views, Castleton has suffered from years of underfunding and drought. Now the government is stepping in with a plan to restore the gardens to their former glory. Upgrades will include an improved water system, refreshed plant beds, and better visitor facilities. Officials say this move isn't just about beautification, it's about protecting Jamaica's biodiversity and boosting ecotourism. The project is still in the early stages, but locals are hopeful this new project will breathe new life into one of Jamaica's oldest green spaces. Back in January 2024, history was made for the Bahamas in the field of aviation. Two young Bahamian women became the first from their country to enroll at the Qatar Aeronautical Academy in Doha. Brittany Ford from Ragg Island and Ayaja Thurston from NASA began a 2-year pilot training program that sets them on the path to becoming commercial jet pilots. This opportunity was created through a new partnership between the Bahamas Department of the Aviation and the Qatar Aeronautical Academy, providing full scholarships covering tuition, housing, and living costs. This milestone is part of the Bahamas National Aviation Strategic Plan launched in mid-2023, which focuses on developing local talent and expanding international aviation collaborations. Their success is especially meaningful in an industry where women make up only a small percentage of jet pilots worldwide. Ford and Thurston are breaking barriers and inspiring future generations of Bahamians to aim high, literally. For the first time in the island's history, Jamaica is introducing unemployment insurance, a new layer of protection for workers who suddenly find themselves without a job. The announcement came on May 13, 2025, after Cabinet gave the green light for the policy under the National Insurance Scheme, better known as the NIS. It's designed to provide short-term financial support for Jamaicans who lose their jobs through no fault of their own, meaning layoffs, closures, or economic shifts. While this won't fully replace a paycheck, it's a step toward building a stronger safety net for thousands of working families. Officials say the police will help reduce the pressure many face between jobs. Details on how to apply and who qualifies are still on the way, but the Ministry of Labor is expected to release the full rollout plan in the coming weeks. As Jamaica faces rising living costs and an unpredictable job market, this move brings peace of mind and dignity to workers navigating uncertain times. And now for our entertainment. Dancehall legend Vybz Kartel made his long-awaited return to Trinidad for the One Caribbean Music Festival, but controversy followed. Trinidad's government imposed strict limits banning him from media appearances, community events, and certain songs due to concerns over explicit content. Kartel later clarified that these restrictions were linked to plans made by the promoter without his knowledge. Despite the hurdles, Kartel's performance is still in effect, and this shows his dedication to his fans and the power of his music. After nearly a decade of silence, the dancehall heavyweight Alkaline has finally broken his media silence. He sat down with BET UK for what fans are calling a rare and long-awaited interview. The usually private artist opened up about his journey, the evolution of his sound, and the motivation behind his music, crediting his fans for keeping him grounded and inspired through the years. Alkaline also cleared up long-standing rumors about his signature look, confirming that the striking black eyes were created using contact lenses, not tattoos. The interview comes just as he returns to the UK stage performing at the iconic Oval Wembley Arena, marking a bold chapter in his career. Dancehall star Popcaan is taking over 2025 with not one but two major stage shows. First up, London. He's headlining City Splash on May 26, bringing that unruly energy to Brockwell Park. He'll share the stage with big names like Spice, TJ, Valiant, and Taurus Riley, giving UK fans a taste of real Jamaican vibes. Then it's back to Jamaica for a homecoming like no other. On August 30th, Popcorn will headline the Streets Festival at the National Stadium in Kingston. From London to Kingston, Jamaican artists are making sure 2025 belongs to dancehall, which it does. Dancehall artist 450 is gearing up to drop his debut album Pieces of Me, set to release on May 30th, 2025. Originally planned for an April release, the album launch was pushed back to ensure every track delivers top-notch quality. With 16 songs, this project promises a powerful mix of hard-hitting dancehall beats and heartfelt lyrics that reflect 450's personal journey and growth as an artist. As the release date approaches, anticipation is building for what's sure to be a defining moment in 450's career.
Welcome to the very first edition of Diaspora Diaries, where we spotlight Caribbean changemakers making waves across the world. Today we begin with a powerhouse Jamaican writer, activist, and cultural force, Dr. Opal Palmer Adessa. Her voice forged through poetry and protest is now carving out space for the next generation of Caribbean storytellers. Before the world knew her name, Opal's journey as a writer and activist was shaped by two unforgettable moments, both igniting her purpose to use poetry as a tool for power and protest. The first part came when she was a young student sitting in the audience as Sonia Sanchez performed.
She was speaking truth, and she was speaking it in such a powerful way. I had started writing and I had been writing, but hadn't really thought about my poetry being a voice for change until I saw Sonia Sanchez.
Years later, that spark caught fire on the campus of UC Berkeley during the anti-apartheid movement.
And I was invited to write a poem and to read about why apartheid was wrong. And so here I was standing on the podium in Sprawl Hall, you know, thousands of students and faculties and cameras, and we were saying, yes, we must divest. And I really concretely understood then the impact of poetry and the impact of my word.
Her activism was personal, rooted in the lessons she learned from her mother, a fierce advocate for women and the vulnerable.
My very first short story collection, Bakeface and Other Guava Stories, I document both child abuse, because Bakeface was a victim of child abuse, as well as domestic violence.
For Dr. Adessa, the work isn't just about telling stories. It's about building a space where healing and creativity can thrive. That vision lives on in Linstead, Jamaica through the Adisa Ancestry Artist Residency, a space for Caribbean creators to find peace, purpose, and community.
I would like the diaspora to come back, and so that we can have a cadre of Black Jamaicans who own something.
From protest poems to powerful programs, Dr. Opal Palmer Adessa is a reminder that storytelling isn't just about the past, it's about protecting the future. And to young people across the diaspora, her message is simple but urgent. As Black books disappear from classrooms and concerns about violence grow, she sees outsiders buying up land while Jamaicans leave behind their heritage. Her call is a plea to return, rebuild, and reclaim what's yours.
That's it for this week's edition of KGN Caribbean News. I'm Carisha Graham. See you next week right here where vibes meets truth and every island will eventually get the spotlight.